Hello and welcome to Seismic Soccer number 9. A bit like David Gray in his Hibs career, we were dead and buried, but we're back alive and looking to shoot back to the top. It is me, PK, and I am joined by Gary. How are you, Gary?
Yeah, good Paul. Good to see you. Good to be back on Seismic Soccer. It's been a while, been way too long.
Yeah,
to get back into it.
This is the new look team. Colin and James have been ditched because they're bitter Rangers fans. So we've had to ditch them, and they'll be bit part players. Me and Gary will be flying the flag, hopefully be successful this time. Won't ditch it after 8 episodes.
No, definitely not. And I promise I will be as balanced as I possibly can about the Rangers predicament and try not to laugh as I speak through it. But I've got a lot to say on it. So I'm glad that I'll maybe get a lot of time without Colin and James to air my views on the Rangers situation.
Yeah, and for those who haven't guessed already, Gary is a Celtic fan. I unfortunately am a Morton fan, so it is my job to make sure Gary doesn't go over the top, start being sectarian and all that kind of nonsense, the usual stuff from those old firm lot, or new firm, whatever you want to call them.
That's good, is the terminology these days.
Oh, that's good. See, I don't get this. I don't know that stuff. I'm down the championship. I don't know about this stuff. But yeah, this episode we are going to be focusing on the Rangers saga that is currently unfolding, and then we're going to do a wee section on Moyes down at Everton. David Moyes has returned to Everton and their upturn in fortune, and then we're going to have just a wee kind of overview of the Champions League, see how it's worked out, what we think of it, was it success, and maybe predictions on winners and losers. But yeah, also probably just a bit of housekeeping as well. This is I don't know why it's sister podcast? I think that's what somebody said. Sister podcast of Seismic Cinema, which is our main podcast that should do the movies and TV show. James and Colin do that mostly. And sometimes I jump on here, there. But yeah, so go check it out if you haven't. This will probably just be getting uploaded to the Seismic Cinema YouTube channel. So if you just search Seismic Cinema, you'll find us there. But yeah, may as well just jump straight into the first subject, the big burning subject. And it's basically the Rangers debacle that has been happening probably say for like the last 16 months since Clement's been in charge. And as of recording, Clement got sacked on the 24th of February, and he has now been replaced by the staunchest of staunchness, Barry Ferguson, and the Blue Brigade, which is, who is it again? Is it Alan McGregor's a goalkeeping coach?
Neil McCann.
Billy Woods. Was that it? Was that just 4 of them?
That's it, aye. Yeah, I think it's just 4 of them, I think. Yeah, and then there was some guy that they brought in under Clement that's still a coach there. I don't know who he is, but yeah, I think that's
yeah.
But yeah, it's
they gave him a 3-year contract and he just in the door.
Yeah, the staunch Avengers was how I seen it described on Twitter, which I thought was quite funny.
So yeah, we'll roll it back a wee bit. So Clement gets sacked after he lost to Queen's Park and in the Scottish Cup, which was horrendous in itself.
Yeah.
And then they got beat by St Mirren in the league, which is also terrible, especially those soap dodging buggers beating them. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's the Morton fan coming at me. So yeah, that's when he got sacked. But I found it quite interesting because obviously after Queen's Park, you thought he did bit the bullet then and got sacked. And I just found it interesting that it took for him to get beat by St Mirren the next week for that to be finally the thing that pushed him over the edge. What did you think of that, Gary? Why do you think it was that game rather than the one before it?
So I mean, yeah, I did think about that at the time because he's kind of been really since pretty early on in the season, under a lot of pressure. So I don't think anybody was surprised that he eventually got sacked. I mean, I think it had been decided a long time ago that he was, obviously Rangers have had a change in CEO and different people at boardroom level, I think, have come in recent months. Obviously, we'll probably come on to the kind of takeover that's going on with the San Francisco 49ers and stuff, but I think obviously there'd been a change in kind of senior leadership at Rangers, and I think it had been decided some time ago that Clement was not going to be the guy that would be there next season. I think everybody knew, or I think it was, that he wasn't going to be the guy that was going to, be the long-term manager anymore. I think that had already been decided, but I think the plan all along was to try and get him to be there till the end of the season, because I think they had the Europa League, so I think they'd obviously done. I think Rangers have done quite well in Europe still this season. They still obviously got that tie against Fenerbahce and stuff. So I think the intention was to just run that out, so they didn't have to do the interim thing. They could probably take their time deciding who the new guy was going to be in the summer. And I thought they probably didn't see the point in I think they were really desperately trying to stick with him to the end of the season just to get there, because I mean domestically they were out of everything. The season's gone, so that's a write-off. Might as well see if he can get you through another round or two in Europe, since he's managed to do it so far. So I think they were trying to stick with it, but I think it just got so bad. I think the fans just got so just beyond the point of accepting what had been served up. I mean, I think he'd lost the players. As a few managers done, and it's hard to blame Clement. And we'll kind of go into it, but you said it's been 16 months of Clement, but and there's Bill before that, and then the Van Bronckhorst before that. So it's been a bit of a steady decline since they last won the league 5 years ago, and it's not been. You kind of seem to have these bursts of initial kind of promise when a new manager takes over, and then it kind of peters out. So I don't think it's all Clement's fault, but yeah, I think they decided that it wasn't going to be him. But then they were trying to get to the end of the season, but it's just got so bad that they had to make a change. Yeah, then Ferguson was an interesting one.
Yeah, as the thing about Clement was when he first came in, I thought he seemed like the kind of real deal. He seemed to have a wee bit of an edge and a bit of a steel about him.
Yeah.
And they had that I think when, was it Christmas time last year? Not last year, the year before. I think Celtic had a wee bit of wobble when Brendan Rodgers came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looked like he could do the business. But in like his press conferences and that as well, it just seemed like he wasn't taking any nonsense.
Yeah.
But then this year, it seemed to be that his press conferences just got like ridiculous. Like he was just making up weird excuses, or it was like he seemed to think everything was fine when it was all like burning down around him.
Yeah,
he was just as if he was living a completely different reality of what was actually happening, as if he was playing lip service to the board.
Yeah,
it was just a really weird transformation from one season to the next.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think it's I think that's what probably irritated a lot of the Rangers fans the most, because he didn't seem to get it. I mean, you can't get beat by Queen's Park and come out and say, we had 30 shots on target and try and explain it away. And there was loads of games like that where he would talk about, how well they played, but and just, or he would claim they played well when he's probably the only person that thought that, that they played well. I know that he was claiming moral victories when Rangers do with Celtic and stuff, and that's just not how it works in Glasgow. You need to win, and you can't kind of lose games like that and come out and try and come out with any credit to it. So I think as things started to turn bad, I think he kind of showed that he maybe didn't understand the environment he was in, and some of those excuses just didn't wash with the Rangers fans. So it was only kind of going to end one way, I think, when all that started. But yeah, it was a kind of bizarre character. Come on, I did actually think the same as you when he came in. I thought there's a it's a proper manager they've got. He won the league in Belgium, and I don't think you get the Monaco job. I know it didn't really work out for him at Monaco, but I don't think you get a job like that without having something about you. It's not just anybody. You don't walk out the juniors into Monaco. You've got to have done something to get there. So I thought he was a proper guy as well. And I think it's a really good point you make. Celtic had a wobble last year. We were a bit ropey under Rodgers for points at the season. And Rangers had a really good chance to win the league, actually. Got them into that position from being 8 points behind into a situation where I think they were top of the league by 1 or 2 points. And then they seem to just kind of blow it from there and just kind of self-destruct. I don't necessarily even think that's a Clement issue. I think there's a few players there that can't deal with the pressure of being in front and prefer being the underdogs. And I think that's because it's not the first time that some of those players have kind of imploded like that in kind of pressure moments. And I think that's what happened last season. And then, ever since then, it was just seemed to go downhill a little bit. I think some of the signings were pretty poor. Not getting into Ibrox for the start of the season probably wasn't the best start to this season either. So there's been a lot of stuff going on. I think there's a lot of stuff at the club that's kind of not helped him. But yeah, it's just got stranger and stranger, some of his interviews and stuff after getting beat for a while. So
yeah, he was a bit of a bizarre character. And then also moved on to, would you say, the Staunch Avengers?
Staunch Avengers, I've seen it described, which I thought was quite funny.
And I'm not going to lie, see, when we were going to do this podcast, I thought we'd be talking about maybe a wee managerial bounce, but doesn't really seem to have happened. He's played 2 games, won 1, lost 1. Is that right?
Yeah. And
old Bazza boy seems to really like going 2-0 down before it happens.
Yeah.
They beat Kilmarnock 4-2, and then they just got beat by Motherwell 2-1.
Yeah.
And they've just got a new manager as well. The German, is it Wimmer?
Wimmer, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been quite interesting. It did seem like a bit of a weird choice. I know he knows like the club inside out and stuff like that. Like, great, but it did feel like a kind of just like a token appointment to try and get the fans on side. But like, Scottish football fans aren't daft. Like, they pay a lot of good money to go see these games. They can see when it's just like a novelty.
Yeah.
Because you see, like, Barry Ferguson, I think they were talking about his win ratio was like 25%. Sure, he was playing it down the lower leagues where, and like the Championship League One kind of stuff, like, he's like the mid-20s maybe percent.
Yeah.
You've got Billy Dodds who got sacked from Inverness. You've got like Neil McCann who got sacked from Inverness and I think Dundee or something as well. And Griggsy, who just likes to do what Griggsy does.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's coached before, but I mean, I in some ways I sort of get it because the season's gone for them other than Europe, and who are you going to get to take it interim till the end of the season that's of any decent quality? I mean, I think I don't think anybody's thinking Ferguson will be like the permanent manager because I don't know that he would even. And I'm really not saying this because I'm a Celtic fan and I'm just trying to get a dig in. I genuinely don't know if Ferguson would get another job permanently in the Premier League in Scotland. I'm not, because I think if he could, he would have by now. He's been out of work for like 2 years, I think, and he's kind of not. And I don't think that's because he's like knocking back loads of offers. I don't think his managerial record is great. But I think I mean, it's quite funny because I don't think things are going to get any better between now and the end of the season for them. Like, so from a Celtic fan's point of view, it's quite funny in that sense. But I almost get the logic in it, in the sense that you're needing someone to hold the fort till the end of the season, and he at least gets it. And I did actually think maybe we'll get a wee bounce out of them. Just be coming in and sort of demanding a bit more. The way he did when he was a player.
I did listen to this, I think, is it TalkSport, and I heard Simon Jordan say something that sure, it's all good, well and good getting like Barry Ferguson in because he's like Mr. Rangers. He knows the club inside out. He'll instill in them the kind of what's it's like to play for Rangers kind of thing. But he was saying that culture is so far gone now that it'll be hard to instill it into these players because like that club, it's not the same club. Rangers are serial. In my lifetime, like if they lost a couple of games during the season, it was like meltdown. But losing half a dozen games now, they're looking so poor. Like I say, the quality of the signings is really bad. Like before, you get like a wee gem here and there, and they'd maybe sell one or two. But you're bringing guys in who are just like kind of maybe got potential. The only one that I actually quite like is that Eggman.
Yeah, Eggman's a good player. Yeah, I think he's done well. I think they've got a couple of players that show like quality and spot, but I think like I think they've brought in the wrong types of players at times. I think like they really seem to struggle to break down the kind of low blocks in Scottish football, and you need certain types of players that can do that. I think if you're going to play for Celtic or Rangers, because you do have to face that a lot of weeks. Whereas I think some players find it easier if there's a bit more space, if there's a team coming at you a bit more. So I think there's like a certain style of player that I don't think they have to the same extent Celtic do. And I think there's a consistency thing. Like like I said, there's a few players that even Dessers, like, I think his goal against Man United and stuff. I mean, that was a peachy finish and stuff. So he's obviously got ability. Like it's not like, but it's being able to do it in the kind of big moments and get, grind out those wins. I just don't think, I think there's a kind of mentality issue with that group of players. And I don't think it's the manager's fault a lot of the time. I think some of the recruitment's been quite bad. I think they're kind of player trade. You see, like, some of the players I've had over the last few years, like, I think like Kent, Morelos. I mean, these guys have come in, done well for them, won them trophies, got them, far in Europe, further than anybody would expect. I think, Europa League finals and things like that, and they've ended up walking out the door for nothing. That's not a manager's fault necessarily. That's just a badly run club. You've got to, if you're playing in a league like Scotland, they've got to sell these players at the right time, make the money, reinvest it. Whereas they've just kind of allowed what assets they had to sit in, and they've not signed very well, I don't think, other than a few players. To certainly to get them to compete domestically, and I don't know who's been doing that, whether it's been the manager or whether I think they've had heads of recruitment and things like that. But I think there's like a lot of things wrong with the club, I think, and I think it's probably quite. But I think the thing that if it wasn't for the takeover news, I think I'd be saying I don't know where they really go from here to try and claw back the gap with Celtic. But I suppose there's a chance of fresh investment now, which will be good for Rangers.
I think probably it's a good time to bring in Mr. Patterson from Seismic Cinema. His thoughts. Good Rangers man. But he's been a very angry man this season for obvious reasons. But yeah, I'll just read out his comment. It's quite a paragraph, and there's quite a lot of swear words in it. So remember, it's his words, not mine. So James says, my thoughts on Clement. He was utterly clueless and did not understand how to break down the low block, like you said, Gary. Buying players and playing them in the wrong positions, which did not work. Square pegs round holes. Rangers became a team who were predictable and easy to play against. Clement couldn't fathom that Rangers needed to win every single game. He became happy with draws and hoped that Celtic would drop points elsewhere. Scotland is a different league, and players did not fit into the league. This moves into the recruitment, which has been an utter shit show. Robin Proper, case in point. Oh, he's Yeah,
he's pretty. I thought he'd be decent actually when he came. He was like not captain of 20 or something like that.
Something like that, aye. James goes on to elaborate. He says, good in a Dutch league where they can actually play football, but can't handle the rough and tumble of our league. He opened up and said he's still getting to grips with it, basically telling other teams he's absolutely shite at long balls.
No.
In terms of Barry Ferguson, it wouldn't have mattered who we got in, because by the time we got him in, we were out of every single competition. By the time it hit Valentine's Day, heartbreaking. The players are useless cunts and have thrown every manager under the bus.
Yeah.
They do not have the mentality or the football capabilities to beat low blocks. Andy Halliday said Rangers are a moments team. Absolutely correct. They don't play as a team and full of individuals. Shite ones at that. Was Barry brought back to drive season ticket sales? I'm not convinced. They clearly don't give a fuck and stealing a wage from the club. If the takeover doesn't take place, I dread to think where we would be. We need an entire clear out again. Board hasn't been fit for purpose. Recruitment hasn't been fit for purpose. Manager hasn't been fit for purpose. Players haven't been fit for purpose for all a fucking long time. Hate to say it, but we need to learn from Celtic on how to run a business. Buying players for ridiculous fees and paying players on ridiculous wages who spend more time in the treatment table than on the pitch has to stop. Due diligence on players and injuries, and are they suited to the type of football and league? This takeover can't come quick enough.
Yeah.
So, what about the takeover? What do you think about the takeover? Because do you think it will make that much of a difference? Obviously, with Morton, we don't get taken over quite a lot. We're like a community-owned club, so
yeah,
we don't deal with the big finances. So what is it? Is it the 49ers?
Yeah, something 49ers, yeah.
And they're trying to get a 51% share in the club. I was speaking to someone, they said Barry Ferguson's just going to run them into the ground so the share price drops so they can buy it cheaper.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. It's, sorry.
Yeah. No, on you go.
Yeah. No, I think, like, I mean, I don't know exactly how but I think they got something to do with Leeds as well, like this 49ers group that are attached to this. I don't know if they're like an investment group behind the San Francisco 49ers and do they own Leeds, or does some connection to Leeds as well?
Yeah, I think they're quite shareholders in Leeds as well, because I think they got something to do with Red Bull or something as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're all kind of linked, but I mean, I don't know. It's always hard to say when these takeovers happen how it's going to impact, like until it takes place. But I mean, from the outside looking in and not really looking into it too closely, if we get into do with Leeds look pretty stable just now to me, like in terms of they're not doing it too stupid financially. They're top of the championship, I'm pretty sure, or I think they're near the top if they're not top. So they seem to be going all right. So I mean, based on that, you would assume that it's a group of people that might know what they're doing. But regardless of how it turns out, I think it's like for Rangers fans, it's got to be a good thing, because I think they're in a pretty bad place. Just like without even getting on to all the other things, I just think they've got no money, or they don't have very much money. I don't think they've been. I think they've been financially mismanaged. So they need fresh investment to, whether it be facilities, the team, start to sort of build up themselves up as a business. If you do look at Celtic, have ran, as much as they frustrate me at times because they hold cash, you can't, they've ran their business pretty well in terms of they buy players and sell them on at the right time and make a profit quite a lot of the time. I don't think I've got much in the way of loans and stuff like that. So I mean, it's an opportunity for Rangers, I guess, to get into that place. I just don't think it will happen as quickly as what either some Rangers fans think it will, or if it'd been 10, 15, 20 years ago that this had happened, I think like someone can come in and just splash the cash and instantly transform a team in a summer. But with a lot of the kind of financial fair play rules and stuff now, I don't think that can happen, as we've seen in Newcastle, I guess, that you can only spend a certain percentage of your revenue and stuff. So I think it'll probably be a bit slower in terms of impact, but you've got to think if these guys know what they're doing and they've got the money that they're reported to have, that it'll be a chance for Rangers to definitely improve on and off the park. So I mean, as a Celtic fan, it's definitely looks like we'll have some more competition over the next few years, and the gap will we can't get complacent. And for Rangers fans, I guess it would give them a bit of hope after a pretty barren few years. What about you? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm sure I've seen an article somewhere that if they were to take over Rangers, then Rangers would be like a feeder club for Leeds,
Yeah,
which I'm not sure many Rangers fans would be happy to be playing second fiddle to a team like Leeds. Because
no,
obviously up here, Rangers Celtic, they have that history and they know what they think. Well, I would consider Rangers a bigger team than Leeds.
yeah,
Uh, and I don't know if they'd be happy playing second fiddle to that. And like you're saying, I don't know if will happen. I don't know if it will happen overnight because you're going to splurge the cash and bring in some super. Like if they're going to be a feeder club for Leeds, then when Leeds just buy the superstars, you know what I mean? If they're going to do that, are they going to be buying like project players and building them up? And that's not really a solution if you're wanting to win the league and win the Scottish Cup and all that stuff. You're going to be in the same problem. You might get a few stars out of it, but then you're selling them on.
yeah.
So I'm not really seeing. Well, that's just if that is the plan. I don't know if that's the plan. I've just seen an article about it. But it would be nice to get out a bit more competition in it because, like, it was quite exciting actually when it was like Aberdeen were challenging at the start and they've fallen away. But it would be nice to get them back on a not level playing field because it's not your fault that they've been so poor. If you know what I mean, they've just been not managed that great behind the scenes. I always think of that. Was it Only an Excuse when they did the musical chairs for the boardroom?
Yeah.
And it just always seems like there was a point back in the day, like I seem to know more board members' names than I used to know about like player names that were coming in. Like they just like in the news all the time. And it's crazy. But I hope they do get investment, start picking things up because like I want them to do well in Europe. Usually when I watch it, I want both teams to do well because it's good for the coefficient. You know, I'm all about the coefficient.
Absolutely.
But it's good for reflecting on Scottish football as well. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing. Not that I'm going to put you down, Gary, but it's embarrassing when, like, say, they go from going to Europe and then they get absolutely spanked like 6-0, 7-0 off a team.
100%. And it's been us more than Rangers in recent years as well. As bad as Rangers have been, they've actually flown the flag pretty well, whereas Celtic haven't really. So, yeah.
But we'll get back to that in the Champions League talk at the end of the episode.
Absolutely.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I think it would be good for Scottish football because, like I say, you want. I don't know. You want the league. Scottish football's. I love Scottish football because I think it kind of is what it is, and it shouldn't ever try to be English Premier League. But it is a bit short of money, and it's. The more teams that can go and do something in Europe, the more chance you get of attracting better players, and if it makes everybody raise their game if you get a bit of investment in. So, like I say, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. But I think it's definitely a good thing for Rangers, and I think it'll probably be good for Scottish football. The more competition, the better. So you've got to think it that way. But obviously, you want that. You want that to go your way if you're a Celtic fan. But yeah, it'll be interesting anyway.
So we think predictions for next season. We don't think Barry will be there. I think it'll be somebody else.
No, it's absolutely no way. And I've said that to some of my mates that are Rangers fans and stuff. I said the worst thing that can happen here is he does really, really well and better than expected, because then some people will want him permanently, and it's just like we made that mistake with Lennon. And I think, to be fair, Ferguson's probably an even less kind of on his managerial kind of CV, I guess, than Lennon probably did when we took him. Like I don't think it can be Ferguson. I think it would be. I mean, this is a guy that essentially, like, did he get sacked at Clyde, or did he quit? I think he quit Kelty Hearts, but did he get
Clyde and Alloa as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I just think, like, yeah, if they made him permanent, I think that would be a massive mistake. But I don't think anybody thinks that's going to happen. Surely, like I say, unless he was to get them a Europa League final or something, I think that's probably the only thing that could get him seriously in the running. But yeah, it'll be interesting because the other thing I think as well, I don't know if the group that are going to put the money into Rangers might have someone in mind. I don't know who. I don't know if they've got someone within their kind of network, obviously, sports network that they could bring in quickly. So they might already have decided the new Rangers manager.
No worries. And then just a wee fun one. Is there any Rangers players, if they went, say, bust tomorrow, that you would take in your team?
I would have said Butland last season, but his form's been quite poor this season. But probably Butland into the is it talking about going straight into the first 11?
Make it interesting. Straight into the first 11.
Yeah. I'm really not. I'm struggling to think. I'm really not sure that I'm not saying this to be biased or anything, but I'm really going through that team and I'm really struggling. I'm really struggling to think. Maybe I'm trying to think left back. Maybe we're a bit on the weak side. Jeffy seems all right going forward, but I don't know how good defensively he is. Yeah,
he's a terrible defender. Every time I watch him, he's scary bad at defending. He's good at attacking, but he's scary bad.
Yeah. So I don't even know if I would, take him. I think Egeman's. I don't know whether again. No, would he get into our team at the moment with the way we play?
Squad player then. Squad player.
Squad player for sure. Yeah. Try to think who else. Cherney.
But he's not technically a Rangers player, is he? Yeah, he's on loan.
Yeah, he's on loan, isn't he? Yeah, I think Cherney's obviously a decent player. Egeman looks like you'd probably take Egeman because he looks like he'll get better and better. I think he's pretty young as well.
Yeah, I think he's one that they could sell on for quite a good fee if he continues on. I think that was always the issue. They always kept people past their best.
Yeah, definitely.
And sold them on for buttons or nothing, like you were saying.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think, and just when you're playing Scotland, there comes a point you have to sell like players at the right time. So they're going to have to sell him at some point when they start getting big bids. Rather than hang on to him. But yeah, probably Egeman, Cherney. Like I said, I'd probably take Butland in the squad. Trying to think, because I think we've got quite a strong squad this season. But I don't know. There's nobody that's sticking out, like whereas in previous seasons there would always be like a few that you go, yeah, they would definitely like make the team better. Whereas I don't know that there's loads of them that would instantly improve our starting 11, if I'm being honest. But I don't know what you think. Maybe I'm looking at green tinted glasses, but
yeah, to be fair, the only people I've seen that actually look worth something is Cherney. I would see if Suter can stay fit.
Yeah.
I would take Suter.
Maybe Suter over, certainly.
That trusty bloke plays, yeah. He's anything but trusty.
Yeah, probably Suter.
I don't think he's a good player at all.
Yeah, I forgot about Suter actually. I was thinking of the centre backs and I was like proper, I just stayed clear of them. But yeah, Suter probably. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'd probably say Suter.
Well, well, might want to maybe move on from Rangers now, unless you've got anything. Is there any final words on Rangers you want to bring to the fore?
No, just long may it continue.
Well, actually, there was a comment on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, by Project Football, and if I could remember where I put it, he just said Gerrard maybe goes back to Ibrox for next season, unless Ferguson sort things out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe. I wouldn't be so surprised. Gerrard obviously did was probably in recent years probably the best manager in terms of the impact he had. Took him a few years and probably didn't win the trophies really. Like I think there's only one trophy that he won, but he definitely raised the level, I would say. So you wouldn't be surprised whether it would come back or not. I don't know, but I don't know whether some fans were a bit sore about the way he left as well. So But as Rodgers has proved, you can kind of overcome that again if you get the team winning. So
true. I was going to say that. Okay. We're going to move on to our second topic of tonight, which is the miracle at Goodison. David Moyes returning back home after his stint at West Ham, and his wee stint out of football actually, because I think he was doing some UEFA stuff after he left West Ham. But yeah, he returned to Goodison after Sean Dyche got sacked. I think quite a lot of people were a bit iffy about his appointment. And I thought, don't get me wrong, I do like David Moyes. I don't know, see when you watch like Match of the Day and stuff, do you like watch out for all the Scottish people in it? Like, how they doing?
Aye, yeah. You always want to see the Scottish people, or you definitely like look out for how they're doing when they're down there. Aye, definitely. Yeah.
Or even people that just manage in Scotland, like, I hope they do well.
Yeah.
But aye. So he went back to Everton, and he's turned our fortunes around. In his last 9, he's won 4, lost 2, and drawn 3. And I think one of the ones he's lost was in the FA Cup, which I don't think they're too bothered about.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show how different managers can have different effects on squads. And before that, Sean Dyche was in, and he just couldn't get a tune out of them at all. But I was listening to a podcast, an Everton podcast called, I think it was just like the Toffees TV or something like that. What was it called? Give them a wee shout out, even though they never listen to this. Yeah, I can't find it. Anyway, basically, they were saying that every news conference was just like doom and gloom. It was just like, he's doing everything he can, but like, this is as good as it's going to get. They're just going to keep it tight, and basically that this was always going to happen.
Yeah.
So he got sacked. Moyes came in, and now they're just scoring goals for fun. They're playing entertaining football. And yeah, I think because before that they were scratching just above the relegation zone, and now I think they're looking at the top half, which is a really good return, especially for David Moyes, who was labelled unattractive football at West Ham. That's why they wanted to get rid of him.
Absolutely.
And you see what happened to that. What's his name? Lopetegui or something.
Yeah.
Every time I see West Ham, it seems they're getting beat 4-0, 5-0, 5-1.
Yeah, it's not got better for them since they got rid of Moyes. Yeah.
But what did you think of Moyes' reappointment when it was kind of announced? Like, what was your first feeling with it?
Well, I was surprised first and foremost because I kind of thought, and I don't agree with this, but I did think that Moyes maybe had. I didn't know that. I didn't think that he would maybe get a job like that because as big as. I actually feared for him quite a bit because I quite like Moyes and I think he's an underrated manager. But Everton, I mean, you've got to remember, Everton have been a basket cleat and a shambles of a club for years. I mean, you really have like a lot of years of just complete underachievement. I know there's been stuff with the kind of rules and the financial fair play points and all that kind of stuff that came into it and stuff. But really, for years, you're talking about a club that have been really not performing to what I guess you would expect a club of Everton's stature. And by the way, like our expectations of Everton were shaped by David Moyes. The first time he was there, he had them consistently like top 6. I think he even had them 4th at one point. 4th place finish and stuff. He done a great job there the first time. So you kind of think of Everton as a club that should be up at that end of the table, and they just haven't been for years. Even Carlo Ancelotti, don't know how he ever ended up at Everton in the first place, but like even he couldn't really lift them above kind of mediocrity. And you're talking about, I think if you're having a conversation about the greatest managers of the last 30 years, Ancelotti's in that conversation probably, or he's certainly name will get mentioned, no doubt about it. And even he couldn't get them really. I think did he finish 10th with them or 12th or something like that? So it's I think even he in the end, despite kind of some good points, like I don't think could get. So that it tells you what kind of club that is and where the club's been and stuff. So I thought when they appointed him, I thought, this could be quite messy, and I was kind of expecting another Sunderland kind of situation when Moyes took the job at Sunderland. But I'm really glad that the way it's gone. I think Moyes is an underrated manager. Like I say, I think probably because he's age and maybe because he's Scottish and a bit old school in some ways, maybe he gets underappreciated a little bit. But you look at his career, I mean, the job he done over 10 years with Everton the first time was as good as anybody's done in my lifetime with that club. And the Man United job has since it's shown itself to be such an impossible task. And I think he was back the least out of all of those managers. Like you go through them, I think he only did. Am I right in saying that he only signed Fellaini that first summer when he took over? That was the only player he signed, or that and one other player or something like that. He never got back.
Could be right.
And I might be wrong there, maybe talking about, but he never got backed anyway. He certainly never got
he never got the time that everyone else got.
Man United spent a lot of money since Ferguson's left, like overall, if you look at the piece, but Moyes did not get a lot of that money at all. He never got backed, and then he never got the time because he was following, the games. So that's an impossible job, and it's proved that way to be an impossible job. He then I think he took the job at Real Sociedad, and I know that didn't work out. But
in his wanky Spanish accent.
Yeah. I mean, look, I thought when he took that, it was a mistake because I'm like, there's a reason that there's not a long list of British coaches that have went to Spain or anywhere abroad actually and really made a success at. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think there's something tactically there. The coach was produced. So I mean, that's a hard job. As you've said, he didn't speak the language very well, didn't even do the accent very well. So like that was a kind of difficult job. And then he came back, and I know he kind of stuff for Sunderland and stuff. But like I thought he'd done a really underrated job at West Ham. Not to mention winning the trophy last season and in Europe, and I think it was pretty shabby the way he was treated towards the end there, and how I don't know what the opinion of the fans were, whether they were all wanting him out or whether it was just the club. But
I think it was. I don't know. It seemed like a lot of the fans were like, they just like saying like, get him a European trophy and that, and then it's like, we didn't play. We played shite though, so let's get him out. Like if you're winning trophies, man. When was the last time West Ham won a trophy?
100%, and that's what you kind of think. Like, it's who do you think you are? Like, I mean, that's a bit. I don't remember anybody else doing that with West Ham. Put it that way. So it's. I thought he'd done all right. Maybe the football wasn't the greatest, but he's getting a tune out of what he's got, and I think he's a really good, solid manager. So I'm really glad that it's worked out for Everton. I think, like you say, scoring loads of goals as well. I guess the question is whether he can sustain it, and because he's come in, made an impact. Whether that sticks through to next season and stuff is a different story. But I hope they back him, whatever money they've got. Did they get taken over recently, Everton, or did they have fresh shareholders or something like that recently? So
I think so because was they built a new stadium?
Yeah, that's right.
Down at the docks, and they were kind of. I think it was a bit of a worry that they might be playing in a new stadium in the Championship if things were continuing the way they're going with Dyche. I think Dyche should have been safe, but I think the fans have been very unhappy. A bit like West Ham with Moyes, but 100 times fold because at least Moyes had something about him, but Dyche was like just been very negative all the time, and he was hoping that he would hold out for like a 0-0 draw and maybe steal a winner kind of thing, and not playing people. But I don't know if you've seen much of Beto up front.
No, I've not actually watched too much from this season, to be honest.
I think they bought him for like 25 million. I think it was 25 million. I think it was last year or something. And I put him in my fantasy team straight away because I was like, it must be decent. And he done absolutely fuck all. But I think he was getting a game in that. But as far as I can tell, I think the way they were playing didn't really suit him because he likes to kind of run off the shoulder and be
Yeah,
through
yeah.
balls and stuff like that. But they're playing him as if he was a target man, and like
Yeah.
there's nobody near him, so they're just pumping it up to him, and it wasn't sticking, and he was just not getting any service whatsoever. But when Moyes wanted to play the way they're playing, he's getting a lot more joy because some of the he's finished against Liverpool in that 2-2 game at Goodison. Like somebody plays a ball, a quick free kick, and just like sort of right across his body, like dead composed, slides it in.
Oh yeah. I was seen that goal. Yeah.
He's been doing finishes like that pretty much since Moyes came in. Looks like a completely different player, and just full of confidence, which is really good to see. And you got a young lad, Jake O'Brien, playing at right back, but he's actually a centre back.
Yeah.
I think he's keeping like Nathan Patterson in that out of the team.
Yeah.
But I think he's really came on leaps and bounds. Whereas like under Dyche, I think he would have really got a look in.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he's trying different things and it's working out for him. I hope he stays next year. I don't know how long his contract is or whatever. I hope he does stay in Goodison not Goodison, it'll be the new stadium. I can't remember what it's called. It's like Bromley Docks or something. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
I hope he gets a chance to manage in it. And
definitely.
but I don't know if they're going to do that clear out in the summer. Because of the financial fair play and that, they'll get the money back from the stadium and stuff and actually be able to invest in the squad. Because right now they're pretty thin. I think Beto only got his chance because Calvert-Lewin got injured.
Yeah, he got injured. Yeah, that's
and they were a bit worried about that because I think his contract runs at the end of the season as well, so he'll probably be gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad it's worked out for him. I do like to keep a wee eye on like saying like Scottish people down south and that, even like say like Ange Postecoglou and stuff in Tottenham. Like, listen, even though he's having an absolute hell of a time now.
Oh, it's a hell of a season he's had. That could have been a topic in itself, but
injuries, mate, injuries.
Aye, yeah. It's been pretty harsh on him. But well, you're a big Scotland national team fan. Would you? I always wanted Moyes as the Scotland manager. Would you kind of take him next? Do you think he would be because I always thought, I'm not saying I want Clark out because I think Clark's done a good job over the piece. But I think if we could get Moyes as the next Scotland manager, I would be pretty sure for that. I think it'd be a good way for Moyes to end his career, and I think he'd do a good job with Scotland. Type of manager I think Scotland need.
Yeah. It depends. I don't know. It depends. I think it would need to depend on the personnel at the time, because right now, like see after the Euros, after we got absolutely annihilated, and if Steve Clarke had stuck with the 3-5-2, and we were just playing that turgid football and just not doing anything creative, I would have said, give David Moyes a shot, kind of thing. But now we switched to the 4-4-2. And we're starting to get results again. We're playing a bit better football. Goals are starting to be a bit better as well. I like Steve Clarke as a coach. I really do. But let's say if things don't work out for Moyes at Everton, he's definitely a good choice to have. It's just that thing. Whereas if he did, would we go back to being more defensive or that? I don't know. It's just that, that preconception that obviously the West Ham fans and that he's going to be too defensive. But he's not at Everton because they're scoring a lot more goals now.
Yeah. No, and I suppose Scotland need to be a bit balanced. I suppose you can't he's a defensive. I think he knows how to make a team hard to beat. But I think definitely as you've seen, I think I don't think it's kind of Sam Allardyce football. It's just I think it's I don't think it's hoofball. I don't think he have the career he does without being quite good tactically and having a bit of knowledge about how to put a team together and get results and score goals and things like that. Because I think he kind of proved it over years now. All right, he's had a few bad kind of times in his career and stuff like that. But yeah, I think he's probably a bit of an unfair reputation, really. But it's Yeah, no, I think it's like I say, if it didn't work out with Steve Clarke, it would be not that they would want it now because things are going well with Everton, but if he was to get sacked or something like that, and Clarke was to get sacked or leave or something like that, I think Moyes would be my first choice for the Scotland job. I've always thought Moyes is a good manager, and just
I take
been
more down
lucky.
McInnes anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
His name always expanded a bit. I'm like, yeah. Oh, and also on that, we got a wee comment from Neil at We Needed Roads podcast, good movie and TV podcast that we're pals with, and he's a big Everton fan. He was always very sad and aggrieved when Everton were getting deducted points last season for just breathing.
Yeah.
So what did he say? He said, "All hail the Moyes." And I said, finally a bit of positivity about the place. Did they have any nicknames for Dyche? I thought he might have went in on Dyche, but to be fair, he didn't. He just said, no nicknames, but it proves Dyche had given up and said he couldn't take these players any further. Since Moyes' return, he has lost once. In the league, okay. I said
in the league,
twice.
yeah, in the league it is.
Where was that? He has lost once and immediately turned Beto and O'Brien into quality players and with even more injuries. Yeah, so he's done well. He's done well, good Moisey.
Yeah.
Happy days. So I think that's enough about Everton. Now on to the spectacle, the Champions League, which Morton will never be in my lifetime, but we can only dream if we get taken over by the Baltimore Ravens or something.
Yeah, you never know, man. You never know.
I'm not even sure that's an NFL team, but I'll say it.
Yeah, I would quite. I think it would be the experience of a lifetime to see a Champions League game played at Capello. That would be. Yeah.
That would need to be. We probably need to move stadium or something. We know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
no,
Champions.
I definitely you need to move stadium.
So on to the Champions League, something I know very little about. I just dream of it one day. But Gary and the Celtic team have experienced it. And it's just to get your thoughts on the new format since you've been through it to quite a late stage. Just kind of what you thought generally of the format, playing different teams rather than the old 4-team grouping, etc.
I quite as a fan of a team who has had some really heavy defeats in the Champions League in recent years. I like the format definitely from that point of view because it gives teams a bit of a chance. And I think in terms of the draw you get, you're not just. I mean, the old group format I think had gotten a bit tired. But if you're a particular type of club, like a Celtic or a Rangers or even like a Porto or an Ajax, where you're a bigger club, maybe in a league that's not got the finances, you were coming in and you kind of knew that right at the very most you're fighting it out with someone for third place, and the kind of top two were getting more and more obvious in a lot of the groups. I think you could tell what was going to happen before any games had been played in the old kind of group format. So I do think I'd gotten a bit tired. So from that point of view, like playing the kind of teams around, it's a bit more random. You get a bit more of a chance to kind of do well and stuff. And we've managed to do that this season. We've done a lot better this year than we have in previous years. So I think it's and I think leading on from that, it's been a lot harder to predict, really, hasn't it? I mean, see when you look at that league too. I mean, you had Man City, that albeit Man City having a terrible season, but they were very nearly out. And even look at like
Real Madrid weren't far off either.
Madrid weren't far down. Juventus were quite far down the table. Even PSG, I think, were like 15th. Or, so you had a lot of and then like I think like teams you maybe wouldn't expect were a bit higher towards the end. So it kind of mixes things up a bit. So I quite like it, and for that reason, because I think it's just something a bit different. I can see why some of the big clubs are probably not going to like it. And for that reason, I can see probably more changes on the horizon with the Champions League. But I think it makes it a bit more interesting because I think I felt like the old Champions League format was just so weighted in favour of the big clubs that it was getting. I mean, it was getting more and more predictable every single season. And I'm not saying we will ultimately get to predictable because I think we probably will. I think
Yeah.
we'll probably have a Real Madrid Barcelona fight or something like that, or whoever like that. That's probably the way it'll go. But that's fair. But I think it's been pretty. I think it's been pretty interesting in terms of maybe some shock results and some bigger teams not just getting it all their own way and going through it a canter. And so I think it's been pretty good. It's probably harder for a neutral to follow. But I don't know.
To be honest, as a neutral, I've really enjoyed it. As like you're saying, like the old group format, like you could pretty much tell, unless barring like something crazy happening, you kind of knew who was going to go through. If Rangers and Celtic were in the Champions League, they're hoping the top two seeds are absolutely like the worst of the worst, and maybe they've got a chance.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're hoping for a miracle that somebody's going to get a couple of red cards and they're going to lose the best players, and like half the squad's going to get the flu, hopefully, and that's the only way you're going to get through that. And was it third place used to drop into the Europa League or something? Was that right?
Yeah. And that's that was always a target for teams like Celtic and Rangers and stuff. You kind of looked at the one team that you might have a shot against, but even that was getting harder to do.
But I enjoyed it because like it was a lot more different games. Like you're saying, it's hard to predict. You're playing a lot of different teams from different countries. Like I know it's probably a logistical nightmare and that for clubs, and adding more games to the calendar when players are already tired and all that kind of stuff, and want less games. But I really enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like about it was it seemed to be like like saying Man City were terrible, and it feels like they only won a couple of games and they were still managed to qualify to the knockout stages. So in order to not make the knockout stages, you need to be like exceptionally terrible.
Yeah. It's like 24 out of 36 or something, isn't it? Like if you get in the top 24, and you qualify for the playoffs.
So like, what was it? Was it like Red Bull Leipzig and like Bologna and stuff like that? They just, I think did they win a game, or I don't think they won a game at all.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and it's not as if they were playing like teams of similar caliber as well as teams higher up. So it's not as if they got absolutely bombed out by all the favourites. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but then that's saying Man City still managed to scrape through. Real Madrid managed to escape through when it felt like they didn't really win that many games to get through, but they still managed it. But it does give teams like say Celtic, Rangers, if they get in there, a better chance of progressing, a bit more chance of getting more money into the game, building their squad so they can compete next year and building themselves up rather than just being also runs all the time.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think it's like I think it's good for the game. It seems like a more competitive format and a more competitive kind of tournament to me, which I think is always a good thing. I think it probably pushes us maybe kind of going far into the future here with a kind of conspiracy hat on. I think it's one step towards the Super League eventually being a thing. And I think I don't know. It just feels like it's the kind of first step to doing that by stealth a bit. But I think it's what I think what you'll probably find is, like you say, it is you can like have a few bad results and still get through. So I'm wondering if the only thing that makes me nervous about it is, are you going to get the bigger teams maybe treating it like the early stages of like the domestic cup competitions where they know they can probably put out the kind of second string a bit and like get and then come alive in the knockout stages. So they just need to get kind of through and then like do just enough to get through and then kind of because maybe with the amount of games that they're being asked to play because of this, they're going to have to do things like that. So I guess it's worked because it's the first season, but I do wonder the longer it goes on, are you going to get the kind of your Real Madrid, your Liverpool, things like that, kind of treating it a bit like that. I don't know, but yeah, it's been good so far. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it did need freshened up for sure anyway. So I'm glad they've done what they've done. You want to add any notes about your own personal heartbreak in the competition, or we just skim over that?
We done pretty well. I don't know if you watched their kind of tie against Bayern Munich.
I watched the last 5 minutes, unfortunately.
Yeah. I went to the home game, and don't get me wrong, I don't think it's the best Bayern Munich team you've ever seen in your life, but it's I think they're obviously a bit flat, albeit they're top of the Bundesliga. But it's we kind of hung in there. I think that game at home we could have, it could have been one of those games that we folded, and got tanked, and that would have been that. But I thought the second game in Germany, I thought we played really, really well, and didn't look out of place. And I think it's been a pretty good campaign for Celtic. I think we've learned quite a lot from what the Borussia Dortmund thing. Like, I think we've seen since that happened that we've not been as naive.
Fragile.
We've not learned some, because there's, when we went behind before in previous years, we've started then just chucking in goals. But now
or a silly red card or something like that.
A bit more resilience and kind of a bit more streetwise and stuff. So I think it's been a pretty good campaign for us. I know Rodgers came back and wanted to, be reasonably competitive as we can be, and at that level in Europe. And I think we done pretty well. We even probably disappointed with some of the results, like Bruges and Zagreb. We could have nicked it if we'd been a bit more clinical. But yeah, no, pretty good campaign for Celtic. Like I say, the new format definitely favours us, and well, other clubs as well. So yeah, no, it was pretty good. Who are you backing to win
it? It's hard to look past in it, like Real Madrid. Saying that, we're recording right now, and Real Madrid are beating Atletico 2-1.
Oh, are they? Is that the Bernabeu?
Yeah. Arsenal are beating PSV 5-1 away from home, but apparently PSV have been absolutely shocking in domestic form, so it's not really a surprise. But I didn't think Arsenal would score 5 since they've not got a striker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's that was a surprise.
Dortmund have got 1 against Lille, 1-0, and Aston Villa beat Bruges 3-1. I'd like Aston Villa to do well. I watched their game against Bayern, and is it the first round of games? And they were tremendous. Obviously, like now they've got little injuries and stuff like that, but I don't know, like a very dark horse.
I think I'm not saying that they'll win it. I think Real Madrid will probably win it. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if Aston Villa go far, because I think you'll get to that kind of end of the season where I think La Liga is quite tight at the top. So I think you've got Real Madrid will be involved in that. Liverpool will be are kind of ahead by, is it 10 points clear or something there? I think they'll get to a point where they're just really focusing on the league, just getting that over the line sort of thing. And a lot of their energy will get into doing that, because I think that's a big thing for them to win the league again. And, some other ones. Whereas Aston Villa, I can't remember exactly where they are in the league, but it's kind of like bottom end of the top 10, isn't it? Like it's
I think so, yeah. They've kind of fallen out the European race, I think.
You just wonder if that's where their energy will kind of go, if they just kind of fall into the middle in the league, and maybe that's where they can maybe make a bit of it. So they've got we played them in the Champions League, and kind of the scoreline kind of looked good, but you can see when they click, they're a good team. I think they can cause any team kind of problems if on their day kind of thing. So you just wouldn't knockout football. You wouldn't be surprised if Aston Villa went a bit further than you'd think.
Plus, Unai Emery's a bit of a European master.
Yeah. How many times he won Europa League? Like, he's
I was actually surprised that when was it last year? Aston Villa were in the final. Was it the Conference League or something? But they lost it.
They got beat.
Was it Panathinaikos or something? Or
it was Olympiacos, I think it was.
One of the Icoses anyway. But so it'll be my dark horse. I stick with 5 on it, like 20-1. No, Davey.
No.
But remember, good responsibility.
Worth a shout. Definitely worth a shout.
What about you? Who do you think going?
I think probably like you. I think Real Madrid are I mean, obviously they didn't have a great kind of first part of it in terms of the league phase. They weren't great in it, but then, and I know it's Man City, and I know Man City have been terrible this season and stuff, but you just kind of feel that Real Madrid have just got a bit of, when it comes to the Champions League and that knockout football, they've just got players that can just pull them out of a hole. You know, I think Real Madrid are one of these funny teams. Like, they sometimes don't batter teams. Like, they're just one of these teams that they almost play within themselves, and then before you know it, they've scored like 2-3 goals, like, and that's them, and it's like they're home and dry, and then they just manage the game. I think they're just a team, and they've got a manager who just really knows how to win this tournament. And I just think that all that because I don't think there's like a standout team this year that are kind of blowing loads. I know Liverpool with a great record and stuff like that. Like I say, I kind of get the feeling Liverpool just get distracted by just winning the league. I know they will win the league and everybody knows it, but I just think that'll be where they're kind of.
They've had a few kind of cracks, a couple of draws where they shouldn't really have drawn, kind of thing. That's maybe knocked them a wee bit. So I know what you're saying, and I'm going to cup to Plymouth.
So yeah, that was a big one. But yeah, no, I'd say probably Real Madrid, but I think it's a pretty open one this year. I don't think there's like an obvious one, but I would say Real Madrid probably would be my pick. I think eventually, I was looking at the two sides of the draw before we done this, and I think at some point, maybe the quarterfinals or the semis, I think if Real Madrid and Liverpool win, I think they meet at that stage. I think if that happens, I think whoever wins out of that will go on and win it. Position, but I think they'll probably play Barcelona in the final for the other side of the draw. My prediction. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Champions League final El Clasico.
That'd be pretty decent, eh?
Yeah, would be.
Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
Top bin, boom, done. Yeah. So that's good. Champions League has been a success. So yeah, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. Unless there's anything else you want to bring up, Gary?
No, all good. It's been good to do Seismic Soccer again.
Yeah, it's been good. Enjoyed it. It's actually the first time me and you have actually done a podcast together by ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Aye, first time. Yeah.
It's probably been a shit show when I rerun it, but I never know. Especially the start when I was.
It's all right. Our sheer charisma will carry it through, even if we're talking shit. Then, we'll keep it going anyway. Keep the momentum going.
Yeah. And just remember, it's not an anti-Rangers podcast. Even though he's Celtic, I was trying to rein him in a wee bit,
you got that.
It's all good. But yeah, this has been Seismic Soccer number 9. If you want to find us, we've got an Instagram page and an X page that just started up again. And keep posted to Seismic Cinema, because that's where I'll be cross-posting there as well. And if you want to find us on YouTube, we're under Seismic Cinema as well. So yeah, keep posted. We'll be doing this probably once a month, just kind of recapping the biggest stories. So yeah, hopefully, and we'll try to get some guests on as well. We're going to try and branch out a wee bit and get some guests on, so it's not just us two prattling on about anything and everything. So yeah, stay tuned. Gary, thank you for giving up your precious time to talk soccer with me, aka football. And yeah, catch you next time. Cheers.